Let's circle back to one of our top stories, Singapore's census, showing how the country is changing. Here to help us make sense of all those statistics in the report, we have Paulin Straughan, Professor of Sociology at Singapore Management University. Professor Straughan, hello again. Now, let's look at that major trend of slow population growth. Then we've got rising old age dependency ratios, more singles, and now low birth rates. When you connect all these dots, are they pointing to specific areas of concern?
Thank you for having me, Jill. Okay, so the news is our population is growing. While the statistics highlight quantitative shifts over the 10 years, I think we should reframe our narrative to encapsulate the changes in a more meaningful manner. As a start, as long as we take good care of ourselves, I think we should be able to capitalize on our improved life expectancy. In short, while the Singapore population may be growing, as long as we improve on the health-adjusted life expectancy, being in the 50s in the near future may be the new norm at the workplace. And we should not think of those who are in their 50s as being redundant and due for retirement. So in addition to adjusting the retirement age to facilitate productive aging, we would also want to pay closer attention to the growing pool of retirees who are well-resourced in terms of invaluable life experiences and who can play very important social significant roles in their communities as volunteers. So we should start a meaningful conversation on how to better receive an aging population with adjustments to employment policies, for example, and build a more robust infrastructure to welcome retirees as volunteers and partners in community support programs. So I don't talk about age-O support ratio. We look at our aging population as an asset that we have.
Yeah, and keeping with the work sort of in mind, what implications will these demographic changes have on Singapore's attractiveness, if you like, as a regional business hub? And more specifically, what challenges will that pose to employers? A shift in mindset seems to be what you're suggesting.
I think that this 1.5 years has taught us a lot. The businesses that have thrived and will continue to thrive in post-pandemic world will be those who are able to leverage technology, it seems, and ride the digital wave. So perhaps, in the future, it is not how large or how old the labor force is that is critical, but rather, first of all, how skilled and tech savvy our labor pool is, the robust training programs that we have in place that can quickly transform our labor pool when we need to adapt to new demands. And I think a third criteria would be the support we have to help businesses adapt and reorganize whenever there is a challenge. So I think if we focus on these three aspects, I don't think Singapore will be at a disadvantage at all. In fact, the more educated our labor pool is, the more limber, right, our policies are. And whenever we can tweak quickly to rise to the expectations and challenges, I think Singapore will continue to be a very attractive anchor for businesses of the future, that is.
Now, population trends are also very much affected by changing social norms and values, as well as economic developments, some of which you've described. Now, given the changing attitudes among our younger generation, can we expect these same sort of trends to continue in a post-COVID world?
Well, if I think about, what are the major shifts that we have experienced this past 1.5 years, certainly the reorganization of paid work is a major, aspect that will go down in history, right? So for the first time, we are all working from home. So we know that we can be productive regardless of spatial location. And employers know that flexi work arrangements can save businesses. So I hope this new norm of how work is conducted will accord flexibility to those who need it and can play an important role in facilitating the multiple roles that we all, aspire to play, right? As mother, as father, as employee. So when we look at, feedback from younger Singaporeans, many have highlighted a lack of work-life balance as a barrier to marriage and family formation. So I think rather than rely on legislation of more and more family leave, perhaps a more sensible way of arranging how paid work can complement domestic responsibilities will be a more sustainable way of ensuring that we can encourage young Singaporeans to embrace both in their life goals.
Well, thank you as always for sharing your thoughts with us this evening. Professor Paulin Straughan from Singapore Management University.